OpenAI's Codex just made APIs optional. It can now drive any app on your Mac by literally clicking and typing like a human, and the gap with Anthropic's Claude is wider than anyone expected. Plus, the pen and paper comeback is getting a neuroscience upgrade, and the playbook for building a $10,000 a month AI business just got radically simpler. From a team at the Synthetic Daily, it's Friday, April 24th, 2026. Good to have you with us.
We went through about 74 posts, articles, and threads across LinkedIn, Substack, and YouTube to find what people are talking about today. Let's get into it.
So here's the thing that stopped me cold this week. Nate Jones dropped a deep analysis of the revamped Codex app from OpenAI, and it's gotten over 50,000 engagements for good reason. A year ago, Codex was a command line coding tool. You type prompts, it wrote code in a story. As of April 16th, Codex is a full desktop agent that can see your screen, click buttons, type into fields, browse the web, generate images, and run multiple agents in the background, all while you keep working on something else. It's not hijacking your cursor. It's not stealing focus from your apps. 3 agents, 3 unrelated tasks. You walk away, you come back, and they're done.
Now, why does this matter beyond the cool factor? Because most enterprise software doesn't have modern APIs. Think about the vendor portal your ops team tolerates, or that internal dashboard somebody built in 2019 and never touched again, or legacy systems that will never get an MCP server integration. Codex doesn't care. If the software has a graphical interface, the agent can drive it. Nate ran Codex and Claude side by side on the same workflows for a week and found the gap isn't subtle. Tasks finishing in 2 minutes on Codex were taking 5 or 6 on Claude. Claude prefers Chrome. Codex can touch anything on the desktop.
The backstory here is fascinating. This capability didn't materialize from thin air. In October 2025, OpenAI acquired a 12-person company called Software Applications Incorporated, the team behind an unreleased Mac app called Sky. The co-founders, Ari Weinstein and Conrad Kramer, previously built Workflow, the iOS automation app Apple bought in 2017 and turned into Shortcuts. A third co-founder, Kim Bever, spent a decade at Apple working on Safari, WebKit, Messages, Mail, FaceTime. Alexander Miracos on the Codex team called the background computer use implementation deep OS-level wizardry. And that's not marketing. It's a specific team's accumulated expertise. OpenAI bought a decade of Apple-grade systems knowledge and pointed it at this problem. Here's where the strategic picture gets really interesting, and it's about more than feature checklists. Both OpenAI and Anthropic have decided the AI model, the brain, is largely built. The work now is on the body, but they're building fundamentally different kinds of bodies.
Right, and what's interesting is, Anthropic's approach is structured interfaces. Co-work inside the Claude desktop app asks you to point at a folder and describe what you want done. It relies on MCP servers, connectors, the 30,000-plus integrations already in the Claude ecosystem. Their leaked always-on agent environment, Conway, which came to light when roughly 500,000 lines of TypeScript accidentally hit a public registry on April 1st, has its own sidebar UI, webhook triggers, a proprietary extension format, browser control. It's elegant architecture, but it depends on the ecosystem cooperating. Every MCP server has to be built by someone. Every connector has to be maintained.
OpenAI's body is computer use itself. The agent drives the same graphical interface you drive. The math changes completely because the body's reach is now bounded by how much software has a screen, which is effectively all of it. Greg Brockman, in a recent interview with Ashley Vance, drew a line between knowledge work and computer work. Computer work is broader. It's anything that happens on a computer: ops, creative, research, automation. Knowledge work sits inside that surface, but the surface is bigger.
OpenAI is backing this with discipline we haven't seen from them before. They shut down Sora. They pulled a drug discovery effort. Not because the work wasn't interesting, but because those use cases didn't ladder up to 3 strategic vectors Brockman described: the agentic platform, computer work, and personal AGI. That's an unusually focused cut for a company that's been accused of sprawl. The thing to watch? MCP adoption velocity. If a wave of enterprise vendors ships MCP servers in the second half of this year, Anthropic's architecture looks better and better. If they don't, or if they ship thin wrappers that don't work as well as the actual UIs, driving the UI directly stays the winning path.
In the middle of all this AI acceleration, one of the most watched tech videos this week was about paper. The MIT monk posted a 20,000 engagement video arguing that the most overlooked skill in the age of AI is thinking on paper. And before you roll your eyes, hear the argument out, because there's real neuroscience underneath it.
Researchers at NTNU in Norway found that when you write by hand, the brain regions that activate are the same ones involved in idea formation, memory encoding, and learning. When you type, every keystroke is the same motor action. Finger presses A, finger presses Z, love letter or legal brief, identical physical act. When you write by hand, every letter is a unique physical experience: pressure, speed, curve. Neuroscientists call this haptic perception. Your brain tags each idea with a sensory fingerprint. Princeton and UCLA researchers found students who took notes by hand understood concepts more deeply than those who typed, even though typists recorded more words.
The framework he proposes is called the 3 originals: invention, introspection, and intuition, with paper as the starting vehicle for each. But the part that resonated most with me was his integration model. If the idea needs freedom, go to paper. If it needs form, go to the keyboard. If it needs feedback, go to AI. It's not a rigid sequence. It's about asking what your idea needs next. And he connects it to a real observation about blank page syndrome being the thing that drives people to ChatGPT. Type anything, get 3 paragraphs in 3 seconds, instant relief, but the underlying cause never gets addressed.
This also connects to another MIT monk clip that went viral this week about attention spans. Gloria Mark's research showing average focus has dropped from minutes in 2004 to 47 seconds today, and that we self-interrupt 49% of the time. The argument isn't anti-technology. It's that in a world where intelligence is becoming a commodity, the irreducibly human things, creation, emotion, intuition, are what paper protects.
Let me bring up something related. Marina McGilko from Silicon Valley Girl pulled together a genuinely useful collection of interviews this week about building small, profitable AI businesses, and the convergence of advice from very different people is striking. Gary Vee said if he lost everything tomorrow, he'd build a $5 to $50 a month app and make unlimited organic content on LinkedIn, TikTok, and Twitter to get customers. Amjad Masad, the CEO of Replit, told the story of a CFO at a VC firm who'd had ideas for 20 years, built his dream app in 3 months on Replit, sold contracts, and is now on track to make $5 million.
But the sharpest advice came from the CEO of Opus Clip, who offered a niche selection framework that's almost brutally specific. Is a restaurant business a niche? No. Chinese restaurant? No. Cantonese Chinese restaurant? Still no. You have to drill down until you literally cannot segment further. Then pick something boring, because the cool niches are 100 times more competitive. Then look for existing services, agencies, freelancers, hacky internal tools, because that's your opportunity to turn service as a software.
Maddie, the CEO of 11 Labs, gave a concrete example. Take voice agents and deploy them for local doctors' offices, dentists, mechanics, businesses that miss appointments because nobody's on the phone to take them. You don't need to be a coder. The infrastructure exists. You just need to spend the time calling and asking.
I was reading through this and Alex Mashrub, who built Hicksfield to $200 million in annual revenue in 9 months, said the playbook is first dollar by day 30, 1 million ARR by day 90, and then decide if you need VC funding, which you probably don't. Bill Gurley, who spent decades backing Silicon Valley's biggest companies, put it simply, if you're a high-agency individual, these AI tools are a jetpack, and the thing to do right now is run as fast as you can. The barriers to starting have essentially collapsed. What hasn't changed is that you still need grit and speed. Amjad's biggest tip? Not quitting after 6 hours is actually very differentiating.
A few rapid-fire developments worth flagging. OpenAI released GPT 5.5, codenamed Spud, to Plus, Pro, Business, and Enterprise users just 6 weeks after GPT 5.4. Chorik Malmum noted it outperforms Gemini 3.1 Pro and Claude Opus 4.5 across OpenAI's own benchmarks, with better token efficiency at the same latency. API access is coming, but requires additional cybersecurity safeguards they're still finalizing. On Polymarket, there's now a 56% chance GPT-6 ships by September. The pace of releases has become a competitive weapon in itself.
On the talent front, Harrison Chase at LangChain shared a talent density ranking of AI startups built on Paraform's hiring dataset, arguing that as funding and output become commoditized, talent is the world's scarcest resource. His point about peer quality over mentorship when choosing a job is worth sitting with. Your peers will do big things in the fullness of time, and will push you to be your best.
And then there's the security story that deserves more attention. Rock Lambros highlighted OX Security's disclosure of 10 CVEs across the MCP ecosystem. 150 million downloads, 7,000 public servers, up to 200,000 vulnerable instances. The root cause is the STDJO transport, which spawns a subprocess by passing a command string straight to the shell. It executes whether the MCP handshake succeeds or not. Execute first, validate never. Anthropic received 30-plus coordinated disclosures starting last November and declined to patch, arguing that STDJO is a secure default and input sanitization is the developer's responsibility. A week after the public disclosure, they updated their security documentation. This is the kind of foundational vulnerability that matters enormously as MCP adoption accelerates, and it cuts directly against Anthropic's ecosystem cooperation bet. All right, let's zoom out and talk about the bigger picture. What are the main themes running through everything we covered today? The first big theme is the body problem. The frontier competition has shifted from model intelligence to agent embodiment, how the AI physically interacts with software, and this architectural choice will determine platform lock-in for the next decade.
Next, paper-to-production gap. From TurboQuant to MCP security disclosures, the recurring pattern is that published research and shipped reality diverge dramatically, and the financial and strategic consequences of conflating them are severe.
Next, the Democratized Builder. No-code AI tools have compressed the timeline from idea to revenue so aggressively that the binding constraint on entrepreneurship has shifted entirely from technical capability to niche selection and persistence.
Next, analog cognition as competitive edge. As AI commoditizes analytical intelligence, the neuroscience of handwriting and deliberate slow thinking is being reframed not as nostalgia, but as a genuine professional advantage in idea origination.
And the last one, ecosystem trust under pressure. Anthropic's dual reliance on community-maintained MCP infrastructure and its refusal to patch known STDIO vulnerabilities creates a tension that could undermine the cooperative ecosystem its entire agent strategy depends on.
So if you're going to take away a few things from today's episode, here's what I'd remember.
Number 1, the automation surface just expanded from software with APIs to software with screens, and that's almost everything.
Number 2, The fastest compounding advantage in AI right now isn't model access. It's acquiring small teams with irreplaceable domain expertise. And finally, not quitting after 6 hours is statistically very differentiating when building an AI business in 2026.
That's the Synthetic Daily for today. All the sources and links are on the website if you want to dig deeper.
Thanks for listening. See you tomorrow.
Synthetic